They say our DNA is our destiny. But what if they're wrong? In a world that only accepts the genetically perfect, an outsider cheats the system to live his dream. But living a lie comes with a price, especially when you're one test away from being exposed. Our story opens in a stark, futuristic world, but not with spaceships or grand vistas. Instead, it begins with an intensely personal ritual. A young man named Jerome meticulously shaves, scrubs, and scours every inch of his body. He's not just getting clean, he's erasing himself, a daily act of disappearing in plain sight. Once his obsessive scrubbing is complete, he steps into a stainless steel chamber and incinerates the day's debris, the dead skin, the stray hairs, the very essence of his being. He then carefully applies a false fingertip filled with blood and straps a small pouch of urine to his thigh. He drives to the prestigious Gattaca Aerospace Corporation and breezes through a security check by offering a single drop of borrowed blood. At his desk, he is the very image of perfection, praised by his boss for flawlessness. He's on the fast track for a mission to Titan. But is he truly who he seems? The moment his boss walks away, Jerome carefully plants evidence not his own, but someone else's. He sprinkles tiny skin flakes and places a single hair into his desk comb, a calculated, daily deception. He passes a substance test with unnerving calm using his hidden urine pouch. And while watching a rocket launch with his colleague Irene, he can't hide his raw sense of wonder. But the truth about this perfect man is more shocking than you can possibly imagine. The narrator's voice cuts in, and the reveal hits you like a tidal wave. There is truly nothing remarkable about the progress of Jerome Morrow, except that I am not Jerome Morrow. Our narrator's name is Vincent Freeman, and his story began not in a sterile lab, but in the back of a Buick, a faith birth in an age of genetic perfection. Seconds after he was born, a nurse took a blood sample and read his grim fate aloud. He had a 99% probability of a heart disorder and a life expectancy of just 30.2 years. His parents, Antonio and Marie, were devastated. Now, try to imagine this. Growing up, every scrape and sniffle was treated as a life-threatening catastrophe, a constant reminder of his genetic inferiority. Determined to give their next child a better chance, Vincent's parents visited a geneticist. Here, they could choose their son's destiny from a petri dish, eradicating prejudicial conditions like myopia, alcoholism, and baldness. They were hesitant to leave nothing to chance, but the geneticist coolly reassured them, "This child is still you, simply the best of you." And so, Vincent's brother, Anton, came into the world a son his father considered worthy of his own name. The genetic chasm between the brothers defined their childhood. Vincent was always smaller, weaker, and bespectacled. Their favorite game was chicken, a swimming contest to see who would turn back from the open sea first. It was always Vincent. Despite his physical limitations, Vincent dreamed of going to space, a dream his parents saw as a dangerous delusion. His father's words were the final, crushing blow. The only way he'd see the inside of a spaceship was if he was cleaning it. Vincent soon learned the harsh reality of genoism, a world where discrimination was perfected down to a science. His future wasn't in his resume. It was written in his cells. Then came the day that changed everything. During another game of chicken, Vincent refused to turn back. For the first time, he kept pace with Anton. And then the impossible happened. Anton, the genetically superior swimmer, began to drown, and Vincent had to rescue him. And this is the exact moment where everything changed. He realized he was not as weak as the world had told him he was. With this newfound strength, Vincent left home for good, tearing his own face from the family portrait. He became part of the new underclass of invalids, taking menial jobs to survive. Fate, with a cruel sense of irony, landed him a janitorial position at Gattaca. He was closer to his dream than ever, yet a universe away. He trained his mind and body relentlessly, but he knew it was meaningless without the right blood test. What choice did he have but to resort to more extreme measures? This desperation led Vincent to a man named German, a black market broker of genetic identities. German explained that when a member of the genetic elite falls on hard times, their identity becomes a valuable commodity. He introduced Vincent to Jerome Morrow, a former swimming prodigy with a flawless genetic profile, now paralyzed from the waist down and confined to a wheelchair. For the right price, Vincent could become Jerome. As German put it, blood is the only passport you need. The transformation was painful and absolute. Vincent got colored contact lenses and a new haircut, but the biggest hurdle was his height. To match Jerome's 6'1" frame, Vincent endured an agonizing leg-lengthening surgery, a brutal procedure that left him with metal struts bolted to his bones. The real Jerome, who asked to be called Eugene, was a vortex of bitterness. He revealed a silver swimming medal, a symbol of his crushing failure. If he, with all his gifts, was only second best, how could an imposter like Vincent possibly succeed? On the day of his interview, the plan nearly fell apart. A celebratory drink had left all of Eugene's prepared urine samples tainted with alcohol. After a frantic search, Vincent found one clean sample just in time. At Gattaca, the test was brutally simple. A urine sample was given, and a screen flashed valid. That was it. The interview was the sample. From that day on, their lives became a strict, symbiotic routine. Vincent scrubbed away his identity each morning, while Eugene provided the raw materials, urine, blood, hair, skin, for him to borrow a new one. As Jerome Morrow, Vincent became a star navigator at Gattaca, a borrowed ladder, climbing toward his dream. But just when he thinks he's made it, this is where everything goes horribly wrong. A week before his mission to Titan, his world was thrown into chaos. The mission director was found murdered, beaten to death. The launch was still on, but now Gattaca was a crime scene, crawling with investigators vacuuming every surface for genetic evidence. In the commotion, a single stray eyelash from Vincent, an invalid, was collected. His perfect deception was about to unravel, while Vincent and Eugene went out for a tense celebration. Irene's suspicion of Jerome grew back at Gattaca. She stole a hair from his comb and had it sequenced. The results came back as a near-perfect 9.3, yet she seemed almost disappointed, tossing the printout aside. What was she hoping to find? Was perfection not what she was looking for? The investigation zeroed in on the stray eyelash, and Vincent's old, invalid profile flashed across the investigators' screens. They had a suspect. The pressure intensified when Vincent had to pass a cardiac stress test at the Gattaca gym. In a brilliant sleight of hand, he swapped his own heart monitor for a device preloaded with Eugene's perfectly rhythmic heartbeat, pushing his own failing heart to its absolute limit to maintain the charade. The lead investigator, Detective Hugo, was convinced their suspect was an old janitor who had disappeared years ago. His younger, sharper partner, a man named Anton, remained skeptical. A photo of the suspect, Vincent's former self, was posted throughout the facility. The deception was wearing on him. After the stress test, Vincent barely made it to the locker room before collapsing, gasping for air. The true state of his invalid heart revealed in private. The walls were closing in. Irene confronted Vincent, admitting she had his DNA sequenced. She then shared her own vulnerability, a genetic predisposition to heart failure that had grounded her for life. In a moment of silent connection, he let a strand of her hair fall to the ground, a sign that her genetic code didn't matter to him. But the game was up. She brought his old, invalid profile up on his workstation screen. She knew. Vincent fled home in a panic, his picture plastered everywhere. Eugene, however, was his anchor in the storm. He argued that the system's own arrogance was their greatest shield. They would never believe an invalid could fool them all. When Vincent, in a fit of terror, tried to flush their precious samples away, Eugene stopped him with a powerful truth. "When they look at you," he said, "they don't see you anymore. They only see me." The deception had to continue. To avoid suspicion, Vincent kept his date with Irene, attending a surreal piano concert where the musician had 12 fingers, a product of genetic engineering. The performance was a stark reminder of the world he was fighting against, a world where ability was designed, not achieved. Meanwhile, the police dragnet tightened, with random checkpoints popping up across the city. Eugene was stopped, but his performance of indignation and superiority was so convincing that he passed the test without a hitch. On the drive home, Vincent and Irene were pulled over at another checkpoint. In a flash of instinct, Vincent ditched his contact lenses, blurring his vision to near blindness. He passed the identity scan with his false fingertip, narrowly avoiding a saliva swab that would have exposed him. Afterward, Irene led him to a vast solar farm to watch the sunrise. But to get there, he had to cross a treacherous, high-speed highway, a task made nearly impossible by his myopia. He crossed anyway, a testament to his will to overcome any obstacle. It was the first time she saw him without his disguise. The investigators found their smoking gun. Vincent's saliva on a discarded cup proved their suspect was not some long-gone janitor, but a current employee, a borrowed ladder. They ordered a mandatory blood test for every single person at Gattaca, drawn directly from the vein. Trapped in a long line, Vincent faced certain discovery. In a moment of high-stakes deception, he created a distraction and deftly switched his own blood sample with one of Eugene's that he had concealed in his hand. He passed, but the margin for error had shrunk to zero. With the investigation stalled, Director Joseph ordered the police to stand down, furious about the disruption to his precious launch schedule. That night, Vincent and Irene went dancing. He admitted that just as he was about to achieve his dream of leaving, he had found a reason to stay. But their tender moment was shattered when the police raided the club, ready to test everyone and everything for DNA. This time, could there be any escape? Vincent created a diversion and fled with Irene into a darkened alley. The investigator's voice echoed behind them, shouting, "Vincent!" The name hung in the air, and Irene looked at him, utterly bewildered. After they spent the night together, she confronted him about the scars from his leg surgery. The lie was over, but as Vincent's world was collapsing, the murder case took a stunning turn. Saliva from the real killer had been found in the dead director's eye. As the police closed in on the apartment, Vincent called Eugene with a desperate plea, "I need you to be yourself for the day." In an agonizing, heroic effort, Eugene dragged his paralyzed body up the massive spiral staircase, reaching his chair just as the lead investigator and Irene arrived. He gave a flawless performance as Jerome Morrow, even submitting to a blood test taken directly from his arm, which of course confirmed his identity. Just as the investigator was about to discover Vincent hiding below, he received a call. The real murderer, Director Joseph, was in custody. The case was closed. But for Irene, the deception was too much, and she walked away, betrayed. Vincent finally told her everything. He was a godchild, a degenerate, with a heart living on borrowed time. It is possible, he insisted, a plea for her to see beyond the flaws the world had taught her to obsess over. The murder was solved. Director Joseph had killed his colleague to ensure the Titan mission went ahead. But Vincent faced one final obstacle. The lead investigator, Anton, revealed his true identity. He was Vincent's brother. Consumed by a lifetime of resentment and disbelief, Anton demanded they settle the score with one last swim. They waded into the dark, churning ocean for their final game of chicken. What follows is one of the most intense scenes in the entire film, and the reveal will leave you speechless. Out in the black water, far from shore, Anton faltered first. "How are you doing this, Vincent?" he gasped. Vincent revealed the simple, profound secret to his impossible success. "I never saved anything for the swim back." As Anton began to sink, Vincent saved him for a second time. He returned to find Irene waiting. Their reconciliation sealed when she let one of his own hairs drift away on the wind. On the morning of the launch, Eugene presented Vincent with a gift, samples to last 2 lifetimes, ensuring Jerome Morrow could live on. "I only lent you my body," he said. "You lent me your dream." But at the final security gate, Dr. Lamar stopped him for a surprise urine test. With no sample prepared, Vincent knew he was caught. He faced his fate with dignity, asking only that Lamar remember he was as good as any and better than most. Dr. Lamar, revealing his own genetically imperfect son, was an admirer, confessed he already knew. The test machine flashed invalid, but Lamar simply overrode it, changing the result to valid. "For future reference," he said with a knowing look, "right-handed men don't hold it with their left." In a quiet act of rebellion, he let Vincent pass. As Vincent's rocket soared into the heavens, Eugene entered his incinerator, put on his silver medal, and was consumed by fire, his purpose fulfilled. In space, Vincent opened Eugene's farewell gift, a lock of hair. He reflected that we are all made of stardust. Perhaps he wasn't leaving, but finally going home.